Hey everyone, welcome to the Parts Girl podcast. I'm interviewing Jeremy Stevens today. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a long time coming. You've been on my list, and I'm excited we got time to do this. So, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it. I see your stuff on LinkedIn, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to be a part of it too. And so, just real quick, let everyone know who you are, who you're with, a little background story of just your industry.
So I'm the fixed operations director at the Hiester Automotive Group in North Carolina. We have 2 Chevrolet stores, 2 Chrysler stores. We have an off-site reconditioning center and a wholesale distribution center. And I've been in it since the early 90s. I started when I was 18 and I haven't left the industry. I've been in it the whole entire time.
Well, you haven't left. I hear so many stories where like people leave and then they come back and then
When I was a technician, I did leave for about a year. I started my own shop and I was so proud of it. And the first month it was success. The second month I had an accident in my shop and I burned it down to the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So, and I didn't even have to work that day. I had such a great week and it was a Friday and I had to work on a 69 Mercury Cougar, which was in mint condition. And I had to replace a fuel level sensor and, hit the pilot light on the heater. And next thing I knew, an hour later, it was down on the ground. Everything was gone. So I went back to the dealership. John Hiester, my owner, says he burned it down himself so I could come back to the dealership.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that's where they say everything happens for a reason, even though that's like a tragic. Luckily, I'm assuming no one was hurt.
No, I finally got out. I kind of got trapped in the back corner of it, but I got out of it. So it was an adventure for sure. But that's been over maybe 16, 17 years ago.
Wow. I wonder, like, do you remember what was going through your mind, like when it was happening or?
The slow motion feeling that you're seeing, it's like, is this really happening or am I dreaming? It was that because I'd never seen a fire that big before. And I was like, it was just that whole slow motion. And then, once the adrenaline stopped, it's like, oh my gosh, what have I done? It's the unemployment.
I guess the positive is like you were only 2 months into it. So it wasn't like you had built this really, like after a year, like it was.
That was it. I still think about, because I always all my tools and stuff. And it's like, well, did I have that tool before or after the fire? And you're always questioning yourself on that. But learned a lot. But it was, we won't want to go through it again.
No way. Okay, so fast forward, however many years later, you are in managing a lot of dealerships. And the main thing I think you guys are working on right now is leadership and training the next generation, which I think a lot of dealerships are starting to do. So I definitely want to dive into that and what you guys are, like what your process is, how you're achieving that. Because we talk about doing things, but then the next step is actually doing the thing.
Exactly. The consistency of it. It's like everybody has great ideas, but it's the consistency of following through with it. And every dealership loves to grow from within and just, take that person that may be at a lower position and then see them work through the ranks in their whole career and, really just turn their lives around. And that's what I love about our company is we're always attracting, that talent and, putting them through the process, loving them and help create them into wherever they want to go. And we started maybe a couple of years ago with just kind of a book club. We actually picked a book and we just kind of did a study over it and just kind of went through that process. And now we're kind of taking a bigger step, especially on my fixed side, because, there's a transition where a lot of people are retiring and getting out the business. And I have this gap of the knowledge and, just kind of inexperience and trying to merge those two together. So, today we had a leadership training. I'm a John Maxwell coach, so I love personal growth. I love leadership because it's really affecting, my family, me and my family as well. And so the topic today was, how to grow those leaders. And, and it starts with yourself first. Once you develop yourself, and you master this skill, because leadership is trainable. It's not nothing that you're a natural born leader. You may have characteristics of one, but anybody can be a leader, and you're actually a leader no matter what position you are. You're influencing someone. So we're just creating a path that I can train my managers into leadership training. We do Developing the Leader Within You 2.0 by John Maxwell, and it kind of teaches you through, how to develop yourself as a leader so you can turn and develop others into it as well.
Oh, yeah. That's true because it does start with yourself. Because I remember having a conversation with recently actually about leadership and just how, when you start focusing on you, which sounds selfish, but like when you focus on you and your growth and like it just kind of all flows, you're like everything just kind of falls into place.
Yeah. And it does. Once you kind of master your skill and your craft, because I always tell people it's like the most important thing, no matter what position you're in, you need to water the ground where you're standing. Because once you start developing yourself and you're growing, you're going to attract great people around you. Because today we talked about 5 levels of leadership where, the first level is, you're a manager, you got a title. So people have to follow you because they have to, not that they want to, but they have to. And then when you start progressing, you're able to, maintain your employees or keep your employees and then actually attract better employees. Because if you're a level 2 leader, you're never going to attract superstars. You're always going to attract the people below where your capability is. So that's why it's so important for you to grow so you can attract new talent and, grow the talent that's around you.
Yeah. And what are the last 3? We went over the first 2 levels.
Okay, so the first level is to position. You have the title, so they follow you because they have to. The second one is, oh my gosh, I just went blank.
You just said it. Look it. You're asking a pregnant girl that doesn't remember anything. Okay, move on to the third one.
The second one is permission. So the first one, you're building a relationship, and the second one is permission, where people are giving you permission to lead them. So they're buying into it. You've worked on the relationship. And then the third one is where a lot of people get hung up is the production level, because you built the relationship. You started, training your team. The processes are good. So you start making money and everybody's happy. Your CSI goes up. And then the fourth one is one I kind of stay with today is developing the next leader. So you're taking all of that leadership training you're doing, and then you're developing someone else to where you are. Pretty much you're giving them a helping hand. You imagine yourself climbing a mountain and you're on top. Your main job as a leader is to get everybody to where you are. So we're helping them get to that level. And then 5 is the pinnacle, where you've made such an impact in your personal or professional life that, you can influence people outside your circle.
That's amazing. I love that.
Rapid fire.
Okay. Well, and so let's talk about the developing the next leader, because I think that's probably a hard thing. Not hard, but it might be kind of a hard thing to really do because you're developing your person, but you're still the leader. Yeah.
It is, and you have to be intentional about it. So one thing we talk about is the spend time and invest time. And it kind of tricks everybody up. But the spend time to me is like, if you're going out on the first date, you decide to go to the movies. You're really just sitting beside somebody just watching a movie. To me, that's like you're spending time. Now, if you want to really invest time, then you need to invite them over dinner where you can actually have a conversation and figure out more about that person. So what we talked about, this last lesson today is this, and especially in dealership managers, because your day is very hectic and you may just walk through the shop. Hey, how are you doing? And you're fine with them saying it's okay. And then you keep walking by. Instead, you just have a more purpose. It's like, hey, Kaylee, how are you doing today? And you're just like, oh, it's doing good. It's like, well, what did you do this weekend? Is there something cool? How's your girls doing? Are they playing sports now? You get to that point where you're investing your time in them. And it's amazing how they may have a problem or an issue in their personal. I know you don't miss business with personal, but I kind of do. I've experienced a lot. I have 5 boys. So I've experienced a lot of stuff. So it's like, oh yeah, my
You're,
kids used to do that
wait,
all the time.
you have
That's normal.
5 kids, 5 children?
Yeah, we thought we had 3, and it's like, we need to have one more so we have it even 6. So it's like, and I want a little girl. So we ended up having twin boys.
Oh my gosh. And then you stopped every
Yeah,
2 weeks.
I was like, that's the last thing I thought of. My wife found out on April Fool's Day that we were having twins. So I didn't believe it for a couple of days. I thought she was just messing with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is possible.
Did it run in your family or anyone's, was it just some random thing or does it?
Nothing on her side, she does have twins. And they say, it's, on the lady side, it's like it skips every other generation, basically.
Gotcha.
My grandma was worried that our last name was going to die off. And, I just remember her sitting at her house like, yeah, y'all got to have some boys. And it's like, okay, she kind of probably put a prayer on us that we will have all boys. So
Yeah,
that's like too. So it's like, okay, we're secure.
that's a lot. But sorry, I totally interrupted the thought. Do you still have the thought? Because you were talking about the boys, and then I was like, wait, 5 or 40? That's a lot.
Yeah. So it's amazing. So you can take your experience and help other people. Yeah, and it's not like you're accusing them, because that's a totally different thing. But, some people need encouragement, especially when they have young kids and they're trying to balance, life and kids and work. There's some stuff that you struggle with that you may be, you may have some insight for them, and just help them grow in that. It's like, let's see, toddlers, yes, they're bad. Not bad, I shouldn't say that, but it's tough. Yes. And I had twin toddlers, so it's like, you really get it magnified. So it's like, hey, we used to do this. I used to go to McDonald's on a Sunday afternoon so my wife could take a nap, and I just let them play in that indoor playground for hours, and I got free refills. And it's like, oh, I didn't think about that.
I've done that. I've done that when it's too cold here. I'm like, oh, we're going to McDonald's. Something like get a break. Because I only have one. So like she doesn't have anyone to play with right now. So yeah.
And that's how you build that relationship with your, because I was told a long time ago that you didn't get to know your employees, you shouldn't. And I think that was so wrong. And I was like, man, I want to know.
Why did we do that? Why was that taught?
I'm trying to learn their spouse's name and their kid's name, because I'm to know what they're going through in life. Because, I think it's pretty cool to know what their family's doing, because you have that connection. And to me, it's easier to have a tough conversation with an employee when I invested so much time in building that relationship, because they know I truly care. I'm not just going to beat them up because they keep coming in late. It's like, listen, I know you're struggling, but you got to be here on time. And for me, it's easier as I had that relationship. I can have those honest conversations that a lot of people dread that you need to have. And it just works for me on that side.
That makes sense. On the negative side, I think it probably makes it harder when you have to it makes it easier to have the hard conversations, but if you actually have to let someone go or that really hard thing, you're really close to them, I think that's probably the hardest thing as a manager.
It is. And it definitely is, because you lose sleep when you care for your employees. But usually when you're in that relationship and you love them and you want to see what's best for them, you kind of guide them through that whole process. It's like, hey, Kaylee, this is how I feel. And I feel this, this, and this. And it's like, we got to figure out how it can make you great again. What do I need to do to help you become, I don't feel this way. Yeah. And then you come up with an action plan. And it's like, okay, can you have that done in 2 weeks? And you got to be crystal clear. Yes, no. Okay. We all agree. Everybody nod, so we're in agreement that in 2 weeks, you want to fix this. And it could be my best friend. So in 2 weeks, I was like, you told me you was going to do this. And then from that point, it's on them because they said they were going to do it. And it's like, they feel worse than I did at that point. And either they fix it or they don't. But at the end of the day, it is hard. But if you do it just right, they see it coming. It's like they're not blindsided. They know, and usually it kind of works itself out.
That makes sense, because then you're trying to correct it. You have that relationship, and then most of the time it probably does get better. I did want to ask you, so you mentioned you have a gap. So a lot of people have retired or on their way out to retire, and you have a lot of next generation right now.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So what we have been doing is, the people that are shining in different roles, like, either a service advisor or a counter person, we go by our core values, and if they just shine on these core values and they just get stuff done, it's not, you got to put your finger on everything. It's like we promote those people to maybe an assistant manager, a parts manager, or a service manager. And then when you just work with them, on stuff that you need to know. So, because you want to be ready when the opportunity comes. If you study any personal growth, the whole thing is be ready for the opportunity to come. And a lot of people think that, well, when the opportunity comes, I'm going to get ready for it. So we want to try to get everybody prepared for it. And my managers take it very seriously. I seen one the other day, he was going through line by line on the financial statement, and they were drilling in, and I could tell she was so engaged in it because they had this little heater running outside. You mean that heater's costing us money? I was like, yeah, but it's fine. It's like she went and unplugged it. It's like nobody's around it. And it just gets them thinking the business side of it. It's just not the hours per hour or the gross profit. It's like, it's a little combination of stuff. But really just train them in their knowledge, their experience. And, there's a lot of programs out there too we can send them to just to get them prepared.
Yeah, no, it's amazing what happens when you start showing people the financial part of it, and like that really does cost money.
It's usually out there like, oh shoot, I didn't know that. It's like, yeah, it's gotta go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's all together. It's all connected. So what would you say, like, the biggest opportunity in fixed ops is right now? I know fixed ops as a whole is like everyone's focusing on it, but is there anything that you're noticing as we're heading into, I guess, do we call it a slower season? Is this a slower season? I don't know. It's been so busy.
You can't predict it anymore. When I first started in it, you could predict the state fair and Christmas, but now it's like, one year you may be wide open, and then the next following year, it's like we don't have any patterns anymore on our side.
Yeah.
But, the biggest hurdle now or biggest opportunity, just depends on how you look at it, is of course, there's no technician shortages and stuff like that. And I think, we're trying to make it fun again, with the EV cars coming in, it's bringing a lot of different people in there, these young kids, what to do with these young kids once they finish their tech school, and just trying to create a program that makes it exciting. We try to get together as much as we can with these young guys. I was talking to one of my other techs. He's wanting to get together on the weekends and just hang out with them at car shows and stuff like that. But that's a huge opportunity on there. And we've actually hired a technician out of retirement. Actually, it was a technician I went with side by side in the 90s. We've been together this whole time, and he retired. And then he was working at a parts store, and I was like, I felt like a total idiot. I said, I got this guy that's been working on cars since the early 80s, has all this knowledge, and he's working at a parts store. So I hired him to come help me train my younger guys. And, he's like their mentor. And, these guys look up to him because he's like, they call him the wizard, the Google search engine, because he just retains all of this knowledge. Physically, you can't do it anymore, but, he's passing that knowledge up to it, and it's creating excitement because when I was a young technician, it was acceptable to verbally abuse the younger people and just, physical violence and stuff like that. Now you can't do that, so it's totally different. So
totally different. No, I think what doing that is amazing because it's very rare to find people that have that much knowledge. And I bet he was really, really valuable for that parts place that you just totally took him away from. But
they weren't too happy with me. But what's cool about it, we're talking about personal growth and leadership growth. When you find somebody doing what they were created for, I mean, he's the happiest he's ever been because now he has a purpose. and he feels like
Exactly.
making an impact on these young kids and stuff. So it's pretty cool to see the full picture. And what's even crazier is, so I got 5 boys. My youngest twins are 19. So he's wanting to mentor one of my kids. And I'm like, Don, that's a full circle. It's like, you used to mentor me.
Oh, that's really
Mentor
cool.
my-
So out of the 5, that makes me want to ask the question. So is it just one that's in the industry, or are they all in the industry, or?
So I worked at the dealership, and I hope any HR people aren't watching, but I treat my kids, I reckon, poorly. I can say that, because I don't want them to think they just got a job because of me. And they worked in detail, and they worked for minimum wage. I wanted them to earn their own, their own keep. And
That's
one of them,
important.
I created an internship and didn't pay him for 6 months until the IT guy wanted to hire him to give him a job.
Good.
And, one's a tech, one was a service advisor. The one that's a service advisor is a chiropractor now. And he says, being a service advisor at a dealership has prepared me for everything. The customers, the extended warranty, the different personalities with customers and employees. And he was like the top of his class because of the dealership experience that he was exposed to. And my
I can
second
see that.
one, retail and went to parts. So they've all been in it at some point.
Oh, wow. That's really cool to hear. That means you really showed, like, the life and how to get them in the industry, because you really do enjoy it. To have all your kids kind of be in it is really cool. Okay, so just a last follow-up kind of personal questions that I like to end with. What is your daily driver? What do you drive every day?
So right now I drive a Jeep Gladiator.
Oh, very cool. That's fun.
And I like the mountain bike. So it's something I could put my bike in and, after work, try to get to some trails and stuff like that.
Oh, that's good for you. So mountain biking, how many miles do you average, or what do you do?
I think it's about 10 miles. One of my sons used to race mountain bikes, so I don't even keep up with him anymore. He actually comes backwards in the trails, and I'm just checking to make sure he didn't fall over or something. So, but just really enjoyed that side of it. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think there's a lot of trails out here to do mountain biking. I've always wanted to try, but I never have done it yet.
You need to try it. It'll be fun.
I do.
Where you're at, there's like trails everywhere.
Good trails, especially in Sedona, that's for sure. Okay, so if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, that was a good question.
Yeah, normally I'd say 3. You have to pick 3, but just tell me one.
Gosh, that's such a hard one. Because I'm just thinking of everybody's superpower right now, because I'm like a comic book junkie. So I'm like, oh my gosh, so it would be cool to have, I always like Iron Man, because I feel like he was super smart. I know that's not a superpower.
No, but he was smart.
Yeah, just that, like being super smart.
He was like that engineer, like crazy smart. And yeah, no, that's really cool. I haven't heard anyone answer that one.
Yes. I have been smart about the life. So that's one that I really like.
Yeah. No, I think those are probably one of my favorite ones. And what do you love most about your job?
It really is. I'm passionate about people. It's easy for me because I generally care for and love people. And I like to see people win. I like to take that person that everybody kind of canceled out. And we had a cashier one time, and there was something special about her. And we invested that time in her, and she became like a superstar service advisor. And it just totally changed her life. And it's just, that's what it creates. And that's what I love about dealerships. They can take somebody with no college education like me and just, if you work hard, you care about people, it's like you can go anywhere. And that's what I really love about the industry.
I agree. I really do appreciate that. Although, college degrees are really great. I too did not get one, and I'm a doer, and, being in the industry, you work hard, and, you can make it an amazing life.
Yeah, you can. Definitely.
Well, to wrap up, is there anything that you want to close with or any questions that you wish I would have asked you?
So no, I reckon, just take away is, before you start, trying to, fix anybody or anything, to start with yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and see how you can grow. There's this podcast, there's tons of podcasts and personal growth and leadership things. Because I was told a long time ago, if you spend 30 minutes in one subject, in 3 years, you'd be a master at that subject. And now I've listened to so much stuff. It's not that I'm going to get there. I just want to see how far I can go. How far can you grow, to help other people?
Absolutely. And I 100% agree. It starts with ourselves and then it just kind of all falls into place. So you got to keep yourself as a priority, self just development and all of that. I'm all in on that stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining. And if anyone wants to reach out, I'm assuming LinkedIn is probably a really good place to find you because that's how we got connected.
Definitely. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, and I'm pretty active on all those platforms. So definitely reach out to me, any questions or anything you have.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. PartsEdge, the power tool for your parts department. We hope you're leaving feeling motivated, challenged, and inspired.